Today I'm making a delicious special treat. Very easy, even though I still almost messed this up. I'll get into that later. Hey, I'm Nick and today we're making one of my favorite snacks, Jamaican Ackee and Saltfish Loaf. I got some fresh ackee. I think it's ackee season again, but some ackee trees seem to bear fruit all year. Ackee are really high in fat, so they have a rich, creamy taste and texture. Perfect for pairing with starches like rice, pasta, and most flour products. Also perfect for filling Jamaican style loaves. These are fresh ackee, so of course I have to remove the seeds. Many of you guys are in the US, Canada, or UK, so it's highly unlikely you will get fresh ackee. Instead, you might be able to get it canned. More expensive and hit and miss with the quality. You don't have to pick out the seeds or boil it, but if you're like me, you won't mind because that's a small price to pay for a better quality dish. All clean now. I'm making ackee and saltfish loaf, so I definitely need some saltfish. This duo is so good, it's Jamaica's national dish. This is about quarter pound salted codfish. A bit of fresh thyme and a green scotchy. I like to start flavoring early. I'm washing off the excess salt before I boil this to remove the rest. Boiling is the quickest way of removing salt, but if you have the time, soaking overnight in fresh water will give you slightly better flavor. I'm placing that on medium heat to come up to a boil. For the ackee, I'm going to give it a proper wash. As soon as the saltfish water is boiling, I'm going to add the ackee. You don't want to add ackee to water that's not boiling. It doesn't cook properly, the texture is off and it might have some bitter unpleasant taste. All of this is ready when the ackee is cooked. I want firm but completely cooked ackee. I like when it holds together instead of turning to mush. And on top of that, this will be cooked a couple more times. Have to get rid of that water before we move on. Of course, give it a taste. Not all ackee is created equal, but this is good. I need to clean the saltfish, so I'm removing them. They still have skin and bones. You can't always catch everybody. For the saltfish, I'm going to rinse it with a bit of water to make cleaning easier. Just get rid of all the stuff you wouldn't eat: skins, fins, scales, and bone. If I had soaked this overnight, I could pull off the skin in one piece, but removing the bones would be a bit harder. There are always trade-offs. I'm leaving these chunky. They will break down more as it cooks, and I still want bites of saltfish. I've got some seasons for the ackee and saltfish. Simple ingredients because it's less about what you add and more about how you add it. Frying pan on. I need a good splash of oil. I want a good saute on the veggies. This is medium heat and I want to get it hot before adding anything. Start with a tablespoon of chopped garlic, 2 to 3 tablespoons of chopped scallion, of course a bit of fresh thyme, and 1 sliced small onion. This is about a teaspoon of chopped scotch bonnet pepper for a bit of heat and scotchy flavor, of course. Next, just saute that until it starts to get fragrant. You don't have to brown anything, but you do want to smell those mature flavors. Then we can go in with the saltfish. Mr. Bone. With the ackee seed, that's twice this video. If you're superstitious, this is the same as missing a loop. Missing a loop, no good. Ackee need enough black pepper, so I'm adding about a tablespoon. Next is a bit of Julienne sweet pepper and a diced tomato. I add these relatively late because of their high water content. I have to develop good flavors before flooding the pan with water. Give that a proper saute to melt the flavors. Next, we can go ahead and add the cooked ackee. Saute that so the ackee can soak up all of those flavors. Of course, you have to taste to adjust flavors if necessary. Oh my god, that tastes horrible. I'm just joking. It's really good, just needs a bit of salt. The salt in the saltfish is not carrying this. Give that a mix to get everything combined, and that's our pot of delicious national dish. I could steam some rice or fry two dumpling and really going, but you're here for the ackee loaf, so let's go. Very nice. I can't use this as a filling while it's hot, so let's get this in a bowl to cool down. This will eventually go in the fridge to chill. It's easier to handle cold, won't mess up our dough as much. This is a really good standard ackee and saltfish recipe, by the way. Let me know in the comments how you make yours and what you have with it. It's always interesting how everyone has unique twists and things, and it's crazy how much I've learned from you guys. Let's get this chilling, and while that's doing its thing, we should work on the dough. I'm making a very basic yeast dough, nothing too special, just a few ingredients. I need a cup of water, use milk for a richer dough. I don't want a richer dough though. Half tablespoon instant dry yeast, a tablespoon of sugar, extra food for the yeast, and a very slight sweetness to the dough. Half teaspoon salt, and 2 tablespoons softened butter, which I won't add now. Mix to dissolve the sugar and the yeast. This is 1 pound of all-purpose flour, and here is where I messed up. I usually add half the flour to the liquid and mix to form a paste. I didn't realize I added way more than half the flour. I didn't get a paste, but this was good as is, but no. I had a mini panic and just added more water. This did not need more water, it needed to be left alone. Anyways, I decided to run with it. I usually wrap and rest for 10 minutes to develop some gluten and help the texture of the dough. A 10 to 15 minutes rest like this cuts down knead time, and if you want you can even not knead any at all. After 10 minutes, that's still a lot wetter than I usually have it. Add the next half of the flour. At least this should have been half, but it's not enough to form the dough I need to make the ackee loaves. So of course I have to add more flour. Alright, this looks like a save. It's firm enough to where I can now use my hand to knead. So I'm going to knead until the flour is fully hydrated. Next, I'm adding the butter I saved earlier. Adding fats to dough early slows down gluten development, especially if hand kneading, so I like to add any fat later in the kneading process. I'm going to knead this until it's relatively smooth. Should take between 5 and 8 minutes. This is kinda sticky because of the higher hydration, not really what I was going for, but let's see how it goes. I'm going to wrap this and give it only 10 minutes to rise. My kitchen is a bit warm and higher hydration means the yeast will be more active. Around 60 to 70% bigger is good. We will be handling this dough a fair amount, so we don't want it proof too much. You could roll this out and cut out rounds for each loaf, but my favorite way to handle dough for consistent sizes is to use a kitchen scale. All I do is weigh the entire thing. A little flour stops any sticking. Weighing and then dividing by however much I want, in this case 8 loaves, is a pretty good way to get even portions. You could of course eyeball this too. Jamaican chefs are really good at eyeballing. This video so far showed that I'm not much of a Jamaican chef, so I'm sticking with the kitchen scale. This is roughly a 3-pound dough or 48 ounce, so getting 8 portions out of this means each portion is about 6 ounces. Close enough is good enough. The dough is still proofing throughout this whole process, so I'm working quickly. To get some structure in each loaf, I'm forming each one into a ball by folding it over onto itself. This also helps to give a uniform shape to each piece of dough. Next step is to roll them out. I'm just rolling them thin enough to hold the filling without breaking. I don't want it too thin. Because each piece of dough is roughly the same volume, when you roll them out it will also be the same size and shape. I like consistency. The filling has been chilling, just going to grab it. I'm going to use a 1/4 measuring cup again for consistency. 1 solid scoop works. Just make sure you avoid getting the filling too close to the edges. Edging the filling might cause a poor seal. You could use a fork for these, but using a ravioli cutter has some advantages. Go ahead and fold that over to make a semicircle and carefully pat out any excess air. I like to make a more rounded rectangle shape like this. The presentation is nice and it makes you look like a pro. The ravioli cutter both trims and seals the loaf. If you're interested in getting any of the tools I use in this video, just use the links down in the description. That's one way to support the channel at no extra cost to you. I spend quite a bit of time on these so they won't get a final proof before they go in the oven. Overproofing can be a problem because of the long handling times for this dough. A workaround is to proof the dough in the fridge or use cold water to slow down proofing. And that's the last one. I have a good amount of trimmings. This could give me one more loaf because I still have some ackee filling left, but I'm going to place this in the fridge for now and do something different. Alright, I got my lined and greased baking tray. This can comfortably hold 4 of the ackee loaves, so I'm going to place those on and grab another baking tray for the next 4. I had the oven preheating to 350 degrees and I'm just going to place these in. Just going to let these bake until they are golden brown. That should take between 15 and 25 minutes. I don't usually check the time for these. They are ready when they look ready. And these not only look ready, they also smell very ready. I ball up the trimmings from the dough to make a bread. Just going to pop that in the oven to bake while we check out our loaves. That delicious fresh bread smell is so good. One of the most satisfying things about baking anything. Brush with a bit of salted butter while these are still hot. That bit of saltiness tastes so delicious. And those are your Ackee and Saltfish Loaf. Very nice. That's really soft. These are hot, so I'm going to cut into this to show you the cross section. That's so good. The dough is kind of fresh because I added more flour and water and didn't add more salt, but here's the thing, it works. The salted butter on the crust and the rich creamy ackee and saltfish tie everything together so well. This is a banger. Considering I almost remade the dough, I didn't because I thought maybe you could learn from my mistakes. Our trimmings loaf is done. It has a nice color and it smells good. Just I go brush it with some butter to finish this and cut into it to see how it turned out. This was good. Shout out to my patrons and Patreon. Thanks for the support and thanks to you for watching. Before you go, check out this video that YouTube thinks you will like. Catch you in the next one.